Hi, folks. This is Don Meissner with the North Country Fishing Report. Well, our season has begun. As I look out in the St. Lawrence River, I can see the same spots, the points of islands where the boats converge every year at the same spot for walleyes. And, you know, it's one of our most, I think, popular fishing that takes place in our area. And you got to remember that right now, this is the earliest that walleye season has begun. Walleye and northern pike and pickerel. But this is the earliest it's begun. Normally, it's the first Saturday in May. They jump the season up. And I want you to realize that these walleyes in particular come in hordes into our rivers. The Oswegatchie and Ogdensburg. You'll start seeing people lining up along the banks because it gives people in the town a chance and a place to go that don't have boats, that can stand there along the shore and have a great chance of catching walleyes, because these fish come into these streams to spawn. The same thing, the Grass River in Messina. Oh my goodness, the numbers of walleyes that come in there. So now the fish aren't protected. Now they're free game. They're exposed to not only all the elements and all the risks of spawning, but now they have people lining the banks to catch them. But, you know, walleye season is a huge part of our fishing here in the North Country. We spend an awful lot of time talking about bass tournaments and bass fishing, but folks love to fish walleyes. And I think it's important, if you haven't done this before, and probably most of you have that are going to, but there's always somebody listening that might get this thing that, gee, I'd like to try fishing. And walleye offer a certain type of fishing that can be really fun. Number one, they grow to big sizes. So when you catch a fish, it's a big fish quite often, especially in the St. Lawrence River. Second of all, I think the most popular way to fish them when you're out on the water, I'm not talking about in the streams now when they come in the spring, because once they do their job there, they will go back out into the St. Lawrence. And I think the most popular ways that people fish them is they troll using either a long, slender plug, because walleyes tend to go for long, skinny baits as opposed to little, short, fat ones like bass seem to love. The other way that people forever and ever have fished for walleyes is trolling with a worm harness rig, which has a spinner on the leader, and the spinner spins. It doesn't have a hook on it, but it's an attractor. They see the flash, and then behind it is either a night crawler or something else. Now, I say something else because since there's so many gobies in the St. Lawrence River, and gobies are all along the bottom, and gobies will, oh boy, they'll go after worms so fast that a lot of times if you don't have your bait up off the bottom, you're going to get gobies, and it's going to kind of ruin it for you because the walleyes aren't going to get a chance to see that bait. So it's important that when you're trolling, you find a way to keep that bait up off the bottom. But a worm harness rig can be deadly for walleyes. Another popular way to fish walleyes, and when I see these boats along the points, they will find a place where there's schools of walleye that are hanging off these areas, and then jigging becomes a very popular way to fish walleyes, because walleyes inherently or genetically don't respond as fast as other predators like northern pike or something. I mean, northern pike are just a flash fish. They'll come out, they'll strike fast, they'll go faster. But walleyes like a more subtle, slower speed and approach. But if you're fishing jigs, you can fish like a twister affair or some kind of jig with a plastic at the bottom of it or off the hook. Or you can even tip that jig with a piece of bait that gives it a scent as well. But this is a time right now. There's been an awful lot of people. If you go to the boat ramps, the Messina intake, the Waddington boat ramp, down to Hosmer's, you'll see that an awful lot of boats have gone out into the river. And now is the time for the next month that walleye fishing almost takes supremacy over everything else. For the month before, it was perch and crappies. And people still will love to do them because they're still readily available. But now is the time of walleyes. My favorite fish is northern pike, but we'll talk about more about that later. Until next time, folks, this is Don Meissner with the North Country Fishing Report.